Good evening, I'm Lee Zurik.
And I'm Meg Gatto. Breaking news tonight, a state police search warrant reveals the Lafourche Parish coroner is being investigated for public contract fraud, a felony.
It comes after a series of Fox 8 investigations into coroner John King's charges for autopsies. Here's our latest Cornering the Market investigation. State police send the Lafourche Parish coroner a search warrant demanding documents from the office of Dr. John King.
I mean, you're talking about a public official allegedly using his office for his own personal enrichment.
The search warrant shows State Police Detective Craig Rhodes is looking into who performed autopsies for the parish for the past 15 years. Fox 8 previously reported King charged up to $500 for each autopsy he performed. But there are questions surrounding whether King was allowed to pay himself that money, since the parish council didn't approve the charges. Lafourche Parish law essentially says this coroner cannot get paid per autopsy.
Right. Lafourche Parish opted for a salary method of payment for their coroner.
In 2022, those autopsies earned King an additional $54,000. Sources say King had a quota, wanting to perform 10 autopsies a month to earn additional income. One former doctor says King fired him and another doctor who did that work, so King could start collecting the money himself.
I think he's doing it to subsidize his income.
His income?
His income, that's correct. Because as a coroner, you get paid a salary. And you're not supposed to charge the coroner's office or the parish any other subsequent fees for the autopsies that are done. So to my mind, that's basically illegal.
You think it's wrong?
I think it's wrong. It's unethical, to say the least.
King is the longtime coroner in Lafourche. Records obtained by Fox 8 show for 10 years he collected only a salary until September of 2021, when he started paying himself additional fees for performing autopsies. King also used to work at Ochsner Hospital in the Bayou parishes. His attorney confirms he resigned in August of 2021. The next month, King started charging the parish for those autopsies.
Essentially, you have an elected official that is more interested in profiting from his office, and apparently his revenue may have been impacted. And his method to compensate for that was to bill the parish additional funds for services that weren't authorized by parish ordinance.
Our story showed King might have performed unnecessary external autopsies in order to collect a $400 to $500 fee. One death investigation report obtained by Fox 8 from a law enforcement source shows King decided to perform an autopsy on a 57-year-old man who had cirrhosis of the liver, Hep C, and hypertension. In that one report, it's noted after speaking to Dr. King, he stated that he wants to autopsy the decedent to meet his 10 bodies a month. In another report, also obtained from a law enforcement source, a 47-year-old white female died of a possible drug overdose. An emergency room blood test found heroin, cocaine, and meth in her system. She was brought there in cardiac arrest. The report notes the woman has no family, no one requesting an autopsy. Still, Dr. King told his staff he wanted to externally view the body. There's King's $400 invoice for that autopsy. With no family requesting additional information on the death, it's unclear why King would need to do an external autopsy and charge taxpayers $400. The search warrant shows state police are investigating whether King violated the state's public contract fraud law, which states public officers are not allowed to secure any expenditure of public funds to himself. State Police Detective Rhodes has asked for information on how many deaths Lafourche Parish recorded each year since 2008, as well as the total number of autopsies performed each of those years and who performed them. It orders King's office to search for the information and return it to state police. We reached out to King's attorney for comment, but we did not hear back.